Welcome back. I'm the Shoehead Gamer and we're reviewing Dororo. You know, I made up this entire joke where I would just pretend this is my arm. But no, it wouldn't work. But in any case, this game does at least. I mean, that's really saying something. In any case, let's see if Dororo is any good. Dororo is a manga made by Osamu Tezuka, who is a legend in the world of manga and anime. He has done so much great work. This I don't even know what to call it sometimes. Genre and medium. I don't care. That anyone who actually said he had done less than you think kind of does deserve to get slapped upside the head, in all honesty. But the point being is, he has made many stories. Lots of them. And a lot of them are good. Particularly this one, Dororo. One of my more favorite mangas to read. Hell, I even plan on doing a one-shot of it one day. But that's one day. Today we're talking about the game adaptation. Which is weird since it came out way back in 19 something. Yeah, that day. My point is that being, the stretch amount of time of people who would actually know about this is so minimum that it actually kind of makes me ponder the question of how would anyone know about this and why would someone decide to make it? Well, I literally can't find anything. So much so that I am just getting everything out. The problem is with the thing is that I really can't talk about the past because there's really nothing else other than to talk about the manga, which I plan to do later, but the reason of why I think this doesn't really matter, it exists, and I need to talk about it, because it's actually pretty decent. Yeah, I know that's a little too early to say, but yeah, that's what kind of it's like. Because again, this is kind of how you kind of have to deal with this sort of thing. When you have literally nothing to go on. So, yeah, let's talk about the story at least of this game at least. And the manga. There are differences, but I'll go over them as we go along this game. So, okay. What is the plot? Well, this was a story about Hyugimaru, a child whose body parts were taken by the 48 Fiends after his father gave them up to the Fiends for power. Why? Well, the difference between this and the manga is that in the manga, he was just an asshole. In here, he was just corrupted by the Fiends. And wait, why did the Fiends want his body part? Well, in the game, they say that he's a child of prophecy said to kill them all. Why they added this? Maybe it's just to tie it back to itself and actually make it more give it more of a reason, which that's reasonable and I can understand. That's a good excuse at least. Though, I mean, again, the original reason just made more sense to me, but then again, both reasons make sense. So I really can't argue on that. Though, wait, how did he survive? Well, sheer will, if I can say. And wait, then, what did he do? Well, Daigo just kind of threw him away into a river, who he got found by Jakyu. Or, how the hell do you say his name? Because the game says Jakyu. But, yeah, in any case, raise him up, give him prosthetic limbs, and if you're wondering how he does that, with his fucking mind powers, duh. Of course. That's kind of the plot in any case. Hyugimaru going after the body parts of his own body. You're then wondering, wait, why is it then called Dororo? Good question on that. Because the titular character is sort of a main focus, yet also a non-main focus in the manga. This is actually quite strange when we start talking about that. I mean, when you start thinking about it, it's a fine reason to call it Dororo, because we still follow the character of Dororo, but that's not the main character we care about. And in fact, we rarely in the game get any glimpse of her character. Oh yeah, she's a girl in the manga. This is something I really want to talk about soon enough, but, Tezuka's work has a lot of this sort of thing where a character is another gender. And I'm like, that's a weird motif for his work. At least it didn't ruin any of his other works. Ha ha ha! I'm looking at you, Midnight. You ruined your own story. I don't even know how the hell do you ruin that. How the hell do you ruin your own ending so badly that no one wants to talk about it? It's alright, tangent. Just really hated the ending for that. And tragically, it's a good manga. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, so who's Dororo? Well, she's a fee, and decides to just tag along with Yukimaru because... yeah, I kind of want to know that myself. They later say it's just to follow him. I'd say it's more of a crush thing, which... who knows. So, yeah, Blood Will Tell. I just realized that's a stupid name. Because it really doesn't do with anything of this game at all. Or, in fact, Dororo, because that's also a stupid name. So it's kind of like picking your poison for this. So, you might now be wondering, what is this gameplay? Well, it's a hack and slash in the same vein of Onimusha mixed with, I would like to say, Dynasty Warriors? Though that's not entirely true, but I'll get to explaining that. Well, it's your simple standard hack and slash with your square button being a light attack and triangle being a heavy attack, which you mix up for a combo. And pretty much that's mostly all the combat. Oh, and you got your L1 button, which if you charge up your spirit gauge, you can use a special attack, which I don't use that often because I use them for bosses, and bosses appear rarely, which I'll get into later. But point being, the combat is very simple. It's not going to evolve very up much. Oh yeah, if you use the right button, or R1, you can use your arm for machine gun, which is something else I should mention. Your arm and your leg have a cannon, or at least your leg and your arm has a machine gun. This is very different from the manga, which didn't have it, though in the cannon department it had some liquid shot, but don't ask me, it's weird. And just note, it's not the same. Just not the same. Though, I do like them since they add something to the combat and add some layers too. Though then again, one could argue that it kind of weirdly puts it in challenge with itself, since you want to attack your opponents, well, because you level up. Yeah, there's a leveling up mechanic in this game where your swords your armed swords get better over time as you kill more fiends and more armed demons. So, yeah. That's the ironic thing. And you just don't want to use your other weapons because that's just a waste of time and not leveling up. Though I'm not entirely sure, since it looks at times like if you still use it, you'll still get XP for using them. Just that you don't have to use them. Though your sword does not level up at all. You'll have to find them throughout the level. Which I'll get back to later because you'll need to find some of these for some bosses. This game is also structured in a... When I did say Dynasty Warriors, I meant that in two ways. One, because the levels are big, and you're going to walk around, like, a lot. And I mean older Dynasty Warriors game, not modern ones, where it's actually really more fast-paced than it used to be. Because, oh god, the level design. Let me put it like this. It's very big, but at the same time, very sparse. You know what I mean? Where everything is a little too big, where everything in between is way too big, while also feeling like everything that does happen feels a little small. That's just how I feel about this. Though I should say that the combat still feels rewarding, but it does start slow, but it will feel a little faster as you play on. So don't feel weirded out by the combat. I mean, like, here's the thing. If you don't like the combat by the end of Chapter 1, you bail out. You're not going to like the entire game. And oh yeah, the game does separate into chapters. Each chapter kind of deals with a certain arc of the manga, sort of. Though I'll go into a moment about what each chapter is. I should keep on going with about the mechanics of the game. Circle is where... Remember Dororo? Well, in the game, you can actually use Dororo to issue command. Though I wonder why this wasn't put on the D-pad, because... Ironically, in this game, you don't have a defend button. Yeah, you don't have a block. Even though most people with swords would think that you block with your sword. Yeah, you're gonna have to dodge. And actually, you can lock onto your opponents to straight. Even though I found it to be one of the more useless mechanics in the game because no one uses it. absolutely no one. And in fact, it was so useless, anytime I did use it, I was like, oh, fuck it. That's how annoying it became. Actually, talking about Dororo, Dororo is this weird thing of trying to make us feel like she's weak, but when we get to play as her in certain levels, which you can argue to me that her levels are more meant to be more platforming / puzzle, I argue she can't be by the necessity of the game, because she literally can beat up enemies like no other. Yukimaru could try to kill this one enemy. Nope, she could just dive kick a fool to death. Or sure, you can a fool. And it's like, what the fuck? You know, they say that ludonarrative dissonance in some games is always like this weird thing where we can't describe it particularly well. Here's my example of ludonarrative dissonance right here. Literally goes against the narrative. Fucking hell. That and everything in Bioshock Infinite. That too. Just why? Why did that game get too popular again? Oh, that's right, because our critics are idiots. But like I said, Dororo's parts are a little more annoying since, again, I genuinely can like them, but they're not that very well interesting and actually get in the way of the puzzles. Because, oh god. Okay, look. When I did this game, I basically had to emulate it. One reason only. This shit's expensive. And I ain't gonna pay that much money for a game that I might not like. Which I did end up liking, but it wasn't that much to pay for it. And the weird thing is, during the entire emulation, I could not get to the dash button to work at all. How much I couldn't get it to work? So much so that every time I tried to fiddle with it, it would somehow miraculously work the next time I had to do it. Which is so weird, because it just annoyed me, because like, why is it designed like this? Because I don't mess with the controls at all. Like, at fucking all. But my point still stands that this shit just does not work. For example, the pushing the boxes. Here, you need to push the boxes here to match the weight up here. But the problem is, I could not get it to work. So, yeah, just so you know what I was contextualizing what I was doing. What's worse is that the game kind of forces you to do this again later on, but luckily, items in the game do allow you to, you know, kind of help skip over that, like kunais, which allow you to stick them onto walls, certain walls, so that, you know, can just skip that. And ironically, it's not that very interesting. Again, she has not a lot to work with, and in fact, some of her mechanics are just kind of worthless. Like, she can actually throw things at opponents, but then doesn't really matter because it's useless unless it's a bomb. And I mean a bomb. Not a smoke bomb, just a bomb. Actually, this should have been something that Yukimaru should have gotten, like some more equipment for his arms. Like, maybe instead of a machine gun, maybe a sniper rifle or something. His leg cannon, maybe you make it a smoke bomb or something. So that the enemies are like, oh no, my life, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? That suits the variety of, you know, Yukimaru's gameplay, since we're going to play as him mostly. I'm not saying again that Yukimaru's gameplay is boring, I'm just saying add to the variety. Though I should actually go over the game overarching way of doing this. Okay, the story kind of goes over a few chapters. Each chapter, again, kind of mixing one other plot within the arc itself, kind of making it confusing. And the only pure ones are the first and second chapter, and you're not allowed to play the prologue chapter after that. Though I should mention the prologue chapter did something cool for me, which I was like, huh, that's kind of cool. That being making it that it's black and white, which also kind of made me thought that, oh shit, my emulation just bugged. But that's not it. Actually, it's because the game is actually telling you, hey, Yukimaru doesn't have his body parts. He wouldn't know what any of this is. He may be psychic, but he can't tell. And I'm like, huh, that's true. As it kind of actually adds into Yukimaru's plight, as it kind of makes us feel connected that, like, something that we usually have and kind of take for granted, like seeing in color, hearing properly. We all kind of take advantage of that, and it's like, huh, makes you appreciate it a bit more. And let us feel like we want to help Yukimaru, because that feels like shit. And by actually getting some body parts from the fiends, because after every fiend he kills, he can get it back a body part. Though the body parts are a little inconsistent even in the manga in and of itself, because it doesn't really tell us what a body part is in particular. Like in the manga, they told us the body part was his hair, and he already has his hair still, which is awkward, and I know that sounds so weird. But my point still stands that, yeah, this is never truly explained about what is a body part or what's not. But in any case, as we continue on, we'll gain back more of our body part. Hell, even an arm and a leg soon enough, which our leg will allow us to dash, which again kind of separate from the weird thing that I mentioned earlier about the boxes, and his arm, which could allow him to, you know, swing a sword properly and actually get to strength. Which is actually, by getting body parts, you also gain stats up. Though I'm wondering, like, how does your voice actually affect your strength? Maybe it's like, yeah! Maybe like those battle cries. So over here, I'm just gonna basically go over each chapter and how I thought about them in a more general sense. The first chapter, it was alright. I mean, like, it goes over the Udai arc, or the Ogress part, in, like, its full thing, and I'm like, I mean, like, it does its job well, but you could tell this is where some of the problems start to begin. Like I said, some of the levels are really open-ended, and it is not more clear here than in this chapter. Because, oh god, one point of example is that Dororo gets captured once, and we gotta rescue her by running to there. But the distance is so long that you're just like, oh god, kill me now. And what's worse, the levels get bigger in some regard. In some regard, I mean. Though, the worst one, in my opinion, is Chapter 4, where it is just huge sprawling map, and I'm just like, no. But other than that, it was a fine chapter. Though, I should also mention that you're able to replay each chapter, and I'll come back to this chapter in particular, since it also has something else I need to mention. But, let's continue on. Chapter 2 is my favorite part because, again, it has my favorite arc in the manga, the Blood Samurai. Though, they changed the context of it a bit, making it more, like, really damn clear that he's possessed, rather than in the manga where it was more, like, unclear that it's, like, maybe he's just saying that he's possessed, and it's more like, oh no, the blade is just, he's just using it as an excuse to kill people, which it isn't, but he's also like, he's gone too far with it, so much so that he doesn't really care anymore, you know what I mean? But then again, it still worked, because it's still my favorite. Though, this will cause a problem later on when I talk about Chapter 5. I really don't want to talk about Chapter 3 right now. Because, oh god, it's the worst. Okay, Chapter 3 was trying to mix up the mountain area, or the magistrate arc, with Hyukimaru's backstory a bit. Kinda. It adds a character called Mio, but doesn't really do anything with her. In fact, that's kind of like my biggest problem with this entire game's story. Most of the story is either lackadaisical on details, or more character motivations and whatnot. Sure, they're there, but they feel ham-fisted rather than feeling more natural, if anything. And the Magistrate arc is more of the same, just taken out of some context. Though, I mean, like, it could have done better. I mean, like, this is where actually you start to notice some of the plot differences. Because, oh god, here's where you meet Daigo again. Well, technically, you already never met him, but point being, you meet Daigo here with Tomohamaru, Hyukimaru's brother. Well, he doesn't know, but that's for later. Honestly, okay, that's actually something else I need to talk about. Graphic-wise, this game looks fine, though you can tell there are some serious problems. Like, look at Tomohamaru. Just look at this. Why does he look like that? It makes him look dumb. It makes him look like he's trying to cosplay in the worst outfit ever. Like, other characters look fine. Like Daigo here and Hyukimaru and Dororo. Other than that, they don't look good. Like, normal humans just look off. But the demons, though, they look fine. They look great, in fact. Hell, they add some more creepiness to it all. But then again, they add some fiends and had to resume some models for some of the fiends and demons. I'm like, okay with it, but I understand that some people have problems with them. Actually, while we're talking about graphics, we might as well talk about the other thing, music. Music in this game is somewhat lackadaisically there, though honestly, I could like it sometimes. I just wish it was more there. Honestly, I don't even remember much of the music. I actually tried my best to remember it, but not a lot is there because it just wasn't there much. And re-listening to it, don't look sound nice. It's just that kind of fiddles away. And that just kind of makes this part a little more annoying. Because it had this certain song in it that kind of got to my nerves because I heard it over and over and over and over again. That caused this sort of repetition in my head going like, kill me now, just kill me now. So, yeah. But, okay, what actually makes this chapter the worst for me? Well, that's because the theme here, Mountainous. Yes, that's the name of the demon, or the fiend. Technically, I'm going to choose a fiend more. I'm sorry if you get confused. The fiends are the different beings. The demons are just some other being that just exists. So just get that cleared up. My apologies. Okay, but this fiend is the most annoying because this boss happens 2 times. One near the beginning and one near the end. That being this shit. Because the boss fight has a certain arm protection, thus meaning you're not allowed to move. But the problem is, again, like I stated, I couldn't dash, which the game will offhandedly say sometimes you'll need to use it, but more times than not, you won't need it. And when you do, I find it useless because you can't run in every direction. No, you have to run in the cardinal direction. North, east, south, west. And it's so ironic, and it just annoys me, because I still couldn't get it to work. And the best way I could actually win against it was going back when it... Oh yeah, because since you're not fast enough, you see, sometimes people like to go underground and just uppercut you sometimes. And I'm just like, oh, fuck you, game. And there is literally no way to defend against this. So the best way you can handle it is by literally going over to the side, or the end of the map, let it go up, hit it with your cannon leg, tear some pieces up, and slash the ever-living fuck out of it, because it will deal a heavy amount of damage, and you'll win. And I'm just like, oh god, fucking damn. But ironically, the Eye Mountain part was the best fight of this game. Well, one of them. Because it actually challenges you in a different way than just slashing at the fool. Yeah, because now you're forced to use your leg cannon against a bunch of smaller enemies who will come at you slowly, though they will become a problem. With also the eye becoming a problem too if it's, deadly laser, and be a challenge. Which I said, that's cool and awesome and a neat challenge. And actually you can use the eye to become like, haha, make you kill your own units, haha. Which also does incentivize a lot of cool ways to play it. Hell, you can still use your arm cannon. Well, I say arm cannon, but I mean arm gun? Well, technically it's also a gun blade, so arm gun blade? I don't know. Point being, just could use also that. Talking about the fiends now, okay, most of them are just fine. Either they're not much of a problem or something I genuinely didn't care enough about. The only one, that I really did notice because it weirded me out because they really just brought no build up to this was Onimama. I can't even say this fucking name because it is, I don't still know how to say it. Yeah, that. You see, this is actually a reappearing. This was a character that appeared in one of the manga arcs, and it's just put here for some reason. Even though I wish the manga actually rewrote it in a way that made it actually more sympathetic. Like being like, oh, that's so tragic. Because in the manga, she's more of an irrepressible evil bastard. Rather than something we could be like, oh my god, that is so sad. Maybe make her something more tragic, like, oh, she doesn't want to kill people anymore because she found true love and whatnot. And be like, oh no, I feel so bad. You know what I mean? But no, she just appears here and proclaims her love, or Sabame. And I'm like, who again? Yeah, I forgot about this because because after this I kind of reread it just to remember who the hell that was. And it reminded me of why I like this manga again. It's just short, simple fun. Chapter 4 is the Wall arc, or, the North and South Town, which, it's fine. I wish it was better in some capacity, because, remember what I said, it is long, comparatively to everything else, for no comparative reason. And it actually has some nice platforming to it, actually challenges you to find a way through the platforming. That's some good things, but it is, again, really long. Though some of the bosses were challenging, like the free-tailed fox, and the sick-tailed fox wasn't really that much of a challenge to begin with. The Nine-Tail Fox. That was nothing. Though Kurama was a bitch. Actually, that's kind of like my biggest problem with this. Originally, when I wrote this script, I was actually going over everything, like going after the fees and whatnot. But when I started actually thinking about it, by doing that, I kind of ruined the idea of what's wrong with this game. Because, again, there is not a lot of plot here. Because the plot doesn't actually start to kick up till about the fifth part. Well, technically it starts up here too, but the plot doesn't really start till the next one, because that's where we actually, get our character to move forward to a certain direction. And, like, they have a goal in mind, but it's like there's no like direction where the plot needs to go, because like we need to get somewhere, but the game won't get there. And Chapter 5 is a basic mix of the Cursed Monk and the Faceless Fiend, which I did like the Faceless Fiend since it actually characterized Dororo a little more. However, since that part is kind of reduced and just combined to a homogenized form of like, it just kind of becomes this sort of meh thing where I'm just like, also, Chapter 4, I didn't mention this character, Sabarota. One off character who just appeared in the manga and just disappeared after a certain arc. It just did not feel well implemented in the manga. Though, in the game here, his role is way more different, as he reappears to kill you. As I'm like, okay, whatever. And he seems way more evil, if that makes sense. While in the original one, he was more like, meh, I'm just doing this, bro. And I mean, like, it could have done better. I mean, like, it's a snow level, and I've always said snow levels are my favorite because just how much more gorgeous snow is. Though then again, it really does not do anything in its favor. Because if you're having to redo this level, it's going to be a long slog. Like a real long slog. Because you need to go through this thing one direction and then have to go all the way back. Though luckily on your first way, you won't know immediately. And here's the thing. The Fiend here is actually so easy. It was like, really? And I'm just, as you kind of wonder about, this kind of becomes a problem too. The Fiends aren't much of a challenge. They might be there, but again, they reuse their assets. So anytime some of them feel like their own unique one, they also feel repetitive. And the biggest one here is that it just won't do anything against you, which just becomes a serious problem. Oh yeah, in the game will tell you that, oh yeah, here's where the place that guy, monk thing was there. Go inside so you can get your arm, well, your left arm, so that you can use your sword. Well, technically. Well, and you might wonder, how does this affect the gameplay? Well, it affects it so that you can now actually have, if you have your own separate sword equipped to that arm, you can like have that sword equipped to it. And your sword will become a Genbu, which is kind of okay, which will level up even if you're not using the other blade and using single mode. So yeah, and if you have a different blade equipped, you can use that sword too while you use dual arm, which will add the effect of that blade to that sword too. So it's very useful, though still not very interesting. I mean, like, it's sort of adds something to the combat, but it feels like tacked on, if anything. Honestly, even the fight itself is not even that much of a challenge. It just requires you to beat out the fool. And even then, it wasn't even that much of a challenge. Oh, first time it's even easy. Yeah, that's also something weird about this game. Some of the fiends aren't immediately accessible. You need to beat the level, or need to do something afterwards. Go back to a certain level when you have something else to do. Which, then, let's talk about Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is where the story begins to actually have these changes. 3 is where you start to notice the changes, but 6 is where the changes are actually really apparent. Or at least, these were like cutting costs. Like, the other ones you could always say like they were doing that for time's sake. Here, no, they're making up their own story here. And that being, we find out that Masaki, remember that Blood Samurai guy? His sister. We killed the guy in that chapter. So she's out to revenge for some reason, even though we know that she knows that he was a mass murderer who actually killed people for fun. So yeah, again, total bitch, by the way. In any case, we find out that she's possessed by a demon who Sabarota, I think that's how you're pronouncing the name, because something it's weirdly pronounced. Because everyone keeps pronouncing it weirdly differently for some reason. And I know that sounds odd, but just trust me on that. And we're just like, we just follow him up to the gates of hell. No, not that one. Though I hope one day. As we get separated from Hikimaru, which, look, some of these can be different, and this one's actually forcing you to do some platforming. Though my biggest problem with the platforming in this game is that it wants you to be precise sometimes, but it won't give you the camera angle to be precise sometimes. Which is confusing, I know. Trust me, it is annoying like that. We soon find out that Saburota is a fiend spawn, or at least something made by the fiends, not of the fiends. So get that memorized, as they possess Daigo and just kind of leave. And Tomohamaru kind of changes. I say kind of changes because since we never really get a sense of his personality beforehand, that it just kind of feels awkward. You know what I mean? And thus kind of makes the plot feel like, what the hell? Well, Chapter 7 is actually way more longer. It's actually the second longest in my opinion. It's basically the castle, or at least the chapter, like the final few chapters of the manga, where basically you go to Daigo's castle to confront him. Though here it's different now because since he's possessed and his castle is huge. I mean, think about it. This castle is way too big to be any use to someone who needs a castle. Maybe if the fiends were huge, but most of the fiends are variable in size and it's just awkward. It's just, why? And even then, the dungeon here isn't even that complicated. Sure, first time around you aren't gonna know what you're gonna do, and hell, near the end there's a teleporter that pushes you all the way back to the beginning, and there is no way back. And I'm like, why? Why was it designed like this? And I'm like, I don't even know. And what's worse is that this entire dungeon feels more like a gauntlet a bit, which I do like in games sometimes because it kind of forces you to use the mechanics in a way to fight the opponent, like head on. But no, sometimes they don't work if the enemies aren't variative enough to allow for the gauntlet to happen. Here's the thing, also. It wants to be a little platformy with its own unique boss for Dororo. Yeah, during the game you separate from Dororo to fight the Dragon King, which I find hilarious. Just look at this. And this is the second area that I had trouble with because I couldn't get the dash to work. You see, you're supposed to run from the Dragon Tank in this particular part of the boss fight, but I can never get it to work right until I did, which I don't know how I did again. And even then, the boss fight isn't really that hard again. It's again only the camera. I repeat, this game's only major problem is that the cameras don't work and certain things make it harder to do because of that camera. It kind of creates these smaller issues down the line, if that makes any sense. Going your way up is kind of weird because some of this area is sort of weirdly designed, and it has multiple paths up, but I mean like multiple paths, but only one of them is the real one, and any one you do take only leads you to other fiends. Look, some of these have some reason to exist, and I'm confused on why some of these exist. Like, you see this path? I have no idea what this path leads me to. I think it's about to do something for me, but I'm not entirely sure myself, and I got lost there because I was wondering what I'm supposed to be doing here. Then I figured out, oh, no, I don't need to be here, I just need to go forward still. So, after that we find Daigo. He becomes possessed by a fiend and turns into a monster. Strangely enough, I did not record that for some reason. Though I should say it's not even worth the time to mention. It's not even a good boss fight. Though Tomohamaru gets possessed because we find out that, oh yeah, Saburota said that Dororo was a fiend, or at least has a fiend in him that if he kills will return all of Hyukimaru's body parts. And I'm like, why this change? I didn't mention it earlier because it just felt out of place at times. Where do you put that? And you're like, would you put that near the beginning because that's where the plot actually starts to move again? I couldn't because it just felt awkward again. And I mean, just think about this for a moment. Why? I just say, the amount of coincidence here, I say with air quotes, is so ridiculous that it kind of takes away from it all. Because again, coincidences can only hurt your story if they don't feel like they're natural. if that makes sense. Though then again, Tomohamaru defends Dororo from being possessed by the fiends, and we get an actually cool boss fight. I actually really do like it. I mean, it could have been better, but I still liked it. As Tomohamaru dies in our arms, as I'm like, wait, why the fuck did we kill you, but not Daigo during the fight? And I'm like, I don't even know anymore. As we soon end with Daigo waking up, being sad about Tomohamaru's death and asking what he could do. We tell him, yeah, do the natural, be good kind of thing, yada yada yada. As Hyukimaru and Dororo just leave to find his other body parts without killing Dororo. Yeah, that would be where the game would end normally, but as I stated, there are optional fiends out there. That means if you go around finding fiends, you can actually progress and get a new chapter. Though I should mention some things like, in order to progress, you do need a certain item called the bazooka, which you need to go back to the chapter 2 and fight Misaki, who's now possessed. And so you can get back your other leg, and which will affect your dashing speed, but also give you your bazooka, which will be strong enough to destroy some rocks that get in your way. And mostly all the fiends are in other places, and the game will tell you where these fiends are. Just that, keep a guide in mind if you need to, because some of this stuff is a little crazy. Like the Minamana Oba, I can't ever say that name right, but actually enters is way up more, not closer to than you think. I mean, why? Don't ask me. But in any case, we then go back to the castle for some reason. Tell Dororo to wait here with Daigo, grow up, while we find a way to separate the two. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Maybe, yeah. And then 5 years later, yeah, just like that. I don't even know why. That's kind of like the thing about this game. You don't know why somebody thinks you can do that or something like that can happen. It just does. And actually, ironically, the story did end with Dororo just, Hyukimaru and Dororo just separating for no reason. In fact, that's kind of like one of the better changes I can find with this game. Actually making an ending. Because, like I stated, they just separate for no reason, and it just doesn't really make much sense to me. As we don't ever follow Hyukimaru's story. Which is surprising. In those 5 years, he figured out a way to separate someone's spirit into their own, in which okay, this actually made no sense to me, because by what he's saying, wouldn't it be more of a psychic battle or something? But oh god, and even then, it's more of a physical fight, and it's so stupid. Okay, I'm going to talk about the final boss, and mind you, this boss is terrible. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. Here's why. We're going to separate this down. It's a 4-layer boss, which I don't like multi-part bosses, because I find them being the more annoying, unless they let you heal up in between. Which this doesn't, by the way. Let's talk about the first form. The first form is one of the more annoying fights, but it's not the annoying. You see, in the first form, you need to hit it with your bazooka. Which, I'm like, okay. But if you don't know, you don't have enough ammo to hurt it enough to get its life to 0. So how do you get more ammo? Well, you can't destroy the rocks, since that only gives you health pickup. Well, you see, you gotta wait for it while it shoots a black ball, hit those black balls, to then get ammo for it. Which is just, annoying. Just annoying. So the game doesn't really tell you could do that, or even hell hit them. Well, most of the time, you're just running away from the yellow attacks, which are just... Just go the opposite direction of his attack, or the opposite direction he's flying, and as long as you do that, you'll never get hit. You don't even need the dash. In fact, don't dash, it makes it worse. What makes it bad is that it makes you pretty much wait for it, rather than a battle that is dictated by you, the player. The next one I did need a guide, because it really didn't come clear to me. You see, in the next fight, you need to, and I mean this, you need to... Okay, that's actually started at the beginning. Okay, in this fight, you need to cut the hand so it can lay down. On the hand, you need to get on it so it can raise it up to its head. Why would it do that? I'm not entirely sure. It's just a dumb part of that. I don't know why, because why would... The problem is that it doesn't tell you could even stand on the hand, because it's an attack. Why would you do that? You would think that, oh, I just need to attack it. And it's just, why bother doing that? But the worst part, in my opinion, or second worst, yeah, I'm not joking, you can actually call this part the worst without each individual part considerably being harder than the last. The third part is just, okay, here's the thing. Now the boss is, you need to destroy the spikes on its back to destroy it, to stop its power. Or at least I think? It's not very clear on what it's doing, particularly with those. But in any case, let's continue on. With that, we have to then get on its back. Well, wait, how do we do that? Well, we have to get on its tail, which it's gonna constantly move while it shoots Mega Flare at it. Huh, a double reference to Final Fantasy, eh? I'm just saying. But in any case, what makes it so annoying is that this is where I started my third problem with the dashing system. I told you I could do it up and down, but I never could do it sideways until I fixed it. This time I needed to focus on the sensitivity. And I'm like, why? But then again, I don't care enough anymore. I'm just dead inside right now. And getting on its back is not the hard part. The hard part is that the tail will grab you if you're not moving around when it tried to grab you. And if it grabs you, it will use Giga Flare on you while you're trying to get away. And it's just like, oh, god damn it. And the amount of time you need to put into it is just annoying as sin. Also, you need the Sword of Calm, just because it will protect you from knockback, which will actually help you a lot, since I damn well tell you, you are going to get hit by this game. There is nothing you can do about it. You will get hit, and do not pretend you can't. But that is not the worst part. Somehow. The worst part is, in fact, the weirdest one. Okay, so this time, it goes into the air and tries to charge at you. So, what are you supposed to do? Well, you're supposed to dash at it, slide attack it, and cut it down. Okay, that doesn't sound hard. It kinda is, since the hitbox is a little off. Okay, I'm sorry, not a little off. Entirely off. And with that, it's not only so much more of a problem, since now you also have to do something else. I didn't mention this earlier because it didn't come to me during the review normally, but that would be the slice mechanic. The slice mechanic is a mechanic that you can use, well, if you hold the triangle button and let it flash, you can attack an opponent and cut them up, hit them a bunch of times for some neat bonuses. Though why did I mention it here? Well, here's the thing. Naturally, you'll only be more likely to hit about 20 to 24 at maximum. Yeah. And this one requires you to hit it 48 times in a row. You can't miss one, and if you miss it, you have to restart the whole thing again. Also, if you're slow, you won't hit it. If you don't hit the triangle button after you hit that mark, you aren't going to win. Which is just... That's the thing about this game. It wants you to do something without trying to make it easy for you. Though you can make it easier for yourself with another thing. You see, remember when I talked about the Tomohamaru and Daigo fight? Yeah, if you go back there, there's a sword there that basically makes this mechanic a little less mute. A lot more mute. Since it actually it changes that so your sword can do 3 slashes instead of 1 while you're in this mechanic. And thus makes this final boss easier. And it's just like, why? And it is just baffling to me why they thought this was a good idea. Or at least make it so that... I mean, you could argue to me that it's at least trying to help you do it. I then argue, why would you go back there? Because the game never makes a point about something being there. So, we beat the boss. Happy ending. Yay. In the end, I think this game's alright. Look, the highs have their highs and the lows have their lows. But some more time than not, it stays in this middle that I can just get over. And that's the weird thing about this game in the end. I can enjoy it. No, I know its problems are way more massive. That it kind of makes it hard for anyone to recommend it to someone normally. And that's why I kind of say, you're going to recommend something, recommend it to someone you know who will like it. Next time, I don't know what I'm going to review. Yeah, surprise this time. Till next time.